All right, so what I used to do on quizzes or tests, because, and JM said it yesterday, if you box the first derivative, you're going to get the rest of the question wrong. Get the first derivative wrong. If you mess up the first derivative, you're going to get everything wrong after that. Okay? I don't think so. But what I used to do, and I don't even do this anymore, what I do now is I just give you the first and second derivative. Okay? We're going to practice doing it here because these ones work out okay. But some of them are hard. That's one of the hardest things about questions like this is simplifying the derivatives down. Okay? But what I used to do is I gave you the choice. You could do it yourself. If you thought you were good enough, go for it. If you didn't have confidence, I let you buy the first or second derivative for 1 point. So if this question's out of 10 marks and you bought the first and the second, the max you could get is 8.
But then why would you just buy the second and then work backwards from there?
You could do that. Or you could buy the first and then derive the second. Not with money. And we're not even doing this. This is just because I stole this from like a quiz from 5 years ago. All right. But anyway, because if you mess up the derivative, you mess up everything. Okay. But let's do this. Okay. So the first thing that I do is I find all the easy stuff that you don't need any calculus for. Okay. So I find the intercepts. Okay. Intercepts. So let's do the y-intercept. Y-intercept is when what?
X is equal to 0.
When x is equal to 0.
Which is going to be 0.
So when x is equal to 0, I put in there and I get y is equal to 0. So our y-intercept is 0, 0. You got half a point. Congratulations. You've done grade, what, 8, 10 math? I don't know what grade that is.
No, ask you about my
All right. X-intercept. That is when? So if I put, and the x-intercept, remember, I know we talked about this. You only have to look at what? The numerator.
Yeah.
So what makes the numerator 0?
0.
0. If you go through the origin, your x-intercept and y-intercept are the same, right? Which is 0, 0. Okay. You still have to check because you could have other x-intercepts, but if your x-intercept goes through the origin, that's essentially your y-intercept, and you're done.
And the y-intercept?
Not if it's a function, and you guys only deal with functions right now, because it would fail the vertical line test, right? It would go like that. All right. 2. Let's do the asymptotes. Now, this is where you understand. So let's do verticals. VA. How do you find a vertical asymptote? Okay. So what is it? 1. There's your vertical asymptote. X is equal to 1. Exactly.
I'm still mad about it.
He'll take marks away if you?
I put VA is equal to something instead of
X is equal to 1?
Yeah, I lost marks.
Okay, so there you go. Lesson learned at Anthony's expense.
Yeah.
All right, right? X is equal to 1. There's our vertical. Do we have horizontals?
No. No.
Why?
Because the top is bottom. Like the thing at the top is higher than the top.
The degree of the numerator is 2. The degree of the denominator is 1. So we do not have a horizontal asymptote. So HA is none, non-existent. I don't know if you have to write that, but we're going to write it anyway. But we do have a slant asymptote. How do you find a slant asymptote? So we do our synthetic division. We're dividing by x minus 1. So what's the a value? The number goes on the outside. 1. We start with negative x squared. So that's negative 1. But you have to go down in order. It's 0, 0. So then you do your synthetic. So your remainder is negative 1. Your quotient, negative x minus 1. and we write everything as dq plus, not dq plus r, that's not 12. Q plus r over d. So negative x minus 1 plus the remainder. No. You'd have to factor a negative out. If you factored the negative out, you could do that, but, and the divisor is x minus 1. Okay. And remember, it's the limit of that as it goes to infinity, right? Yeah, of negative x minus 1 plus, I could say minus 1 over x minus 1. Doesn't matter. Because what happens to all of this? Goes to 0. So the slant asymptote is y is equal to negative x minus 1. All right. You got, if I was marking this, say, I don't know, what would this be out of?
10 apparently.
It's out of 10. No, what would you have so far? Say a mark for the intercepts and a mark for the asymptotes. You got 2 marks out of 10 so far.
Yes.
You haven't even done any calculus yet. We haven't done any calculus. Right? That's not 12 technically though, right?
Limits are calc.
Oh yeah, I guess a limit. Well, if you're going to be all technical about it. All right, so now we got to do the calc. What's the calc that we got to do? First derivative. Here we go, peoples. Find f prime. Okay. What rule do we need to use for this function? Quotient, or you could flip it up and use product. I don't really care. What do you want to do? Quotient. All right. Quotient rule. Do we all know the quotient rule?
No.
I'll write on the board. I'll give you guys a couple minutes and I'll do it as I freeze. Quotient rule is this. It does matter. That's all squared. F prime minus top derivative times the bottom minus the bottom derivative times the top divided by the bottom squared.
Would you like us to simplify it?
Yeah, I would love for you to simplify it. Yeah. It's not too bad to simplify it. I'm going to freeze it, and we'll see if we all end up in the same place. Riley's going to end up in Newfoundland. Nothing? What?
Are you still filming?
Filming?
Yeah, are you still recording?
Yes. Yes, please. Or you could just hang on. You're going to have to do it on a test, so. Yeah.
That's gonna simplify on really. Oh. I didn't read the bottom part. That's why it was so easy.
Oh, you can.
And then, yes, you could find the critical numbers because that's the next step.
I got negative x times x. You want to freeze?
Hmm?
Freeze, I can see. Okay, while we're waiting, so I need to know how you got this for the class. For the first question, how did you make this into whatever x squared?
I want to put that 2 in there.
Okay.
I put 2 of them, right?
No.
Those are the same thing. They're not the same thing?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is too confusing. 2.
Well, just so 2 squared is 4. I should
Yeah.
have picked 4 there. Let's say that's 7.
Okay.
If you want to put something that's outside of a square root into a square root,
Got a square.
you got to put square it. You have to put 2 of them, right? 'Cause
Oh,
What's
okay.
the square root of 4? It's 2. That's how you bring it out.
Right.
So if I'm putting x into a square root,
You gotta put an x squared.
it becomes.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, the index number is 2, that's like to a half. So this is like 7 to the power of a half. So if I want to put that in there, so it would still give me the same answer.
Yeah.
I'd write 7x squared. Then if I distribute the half, the 2 and the half cancel.
Okay.
That makes
more
sense?
Yeah.
All right, we got it? Boom. Oh, okay. Whew. I just shut it off. Boom. Expand, collect like terms. You get this. You don't have to factor a negative out. I took a negative x out, and I got negative x times x minus 2 over x minus 1 all squared. Critical numbers are 0 and 2, correct?
Wait, why do we know that? I'm confused by critical numbers.
What make the top 0? No, that's the definition of a critical number.
I just wrote it.
So wouldn't it be 0 or 2? Yeah.
That's it. That's why we read it in factored form.
Okay.
Okay? Are we good with that, peoples? All right. You want a shot at doing second derivative? Okay. If you're going to do second derivative, use that form right there. Okay? Don't use this form. It's easier to use this form. Because this is a product rule on top, but if you multiply it in, you can just use your regular derivative rules. Okay? It's still going to be quotient rule, but doing the derivative of the top is a little easier. All right, we'll freeze it, and I'll meet you at the other side.
The crits are 0 and 2 because it's what makes the top equal 0, right?
Yes.
Double check because he said that and I was not listening. I was writing. And I did not listen.
The second derivative is going to take a bit longer.
You know when you have to never mind, I'll figure it out.